Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today's episode starts with a little story. I go for a kind of 2 to 3 mile walk each day, and a few days ago I was walking up a path, quite a narrow path, and there was a lady walking in front of me, and she didn't hear me coming. Quite often, you're walking behind somebody, they hear you coming. They probably could hear me coming in my big walking boots, but they didn't hear me coming. She didn't hear me coming, and so I had to say, "Excuse me." And she said, "Oh, sorry, I was miles away." And I just thought it'd be really interesting to explore that, because I guess I don't know what was going on in that lady's head, but I've used that phrase before. I was miles away, and it's not usually physical miles where I am in my head, although sometimes that is nice, isn't it, to imagine yourself on a beach in the sunshine, especially these days when lots of us haven't been to a beach with the sunshine for a while. But it often means something else, doesn't it? It means, what are those miles made of if they're not made of distance? I suspect they're often made of time. We're miles away, in the past, or we're miles off into the future. Where else do we go when we're miles away? We go and think over things that we think went wrong, or think of something better we could have said in that situation. I'm sure we've all done that. Perhaps we go into a story about someone or something, or we're trying to work out what to do in quite probably a made-up situation that hasn't actually happened yet, but we're trying to preempt it and organise our thinking so that we know what to do in this imagined situation, always assuming it actually turns up in the end. But what I loved about what that lady said is, it shook her. What I said when I said, "Excuse me," it shook her back into reality. It shook her back into the present moment. And then there was this noticing that she was miles away. And I guess that's what I hope to help people do, really, is to wake up, to have more of those moments when they realise that they are miles away in their thinking, whether that is thoughts about the past, about the future, about other people's thinking, about other people judging them. The list is endless. I would love to know what your list contains of things where you're miles away in your thinking. So how do we wake up? I feel quite emotional asking that question. When we're caught up and it all feels real, and we don't know that we're miles away, because when we're there, we don't know, do we? We don't know that we're miles away. When we're in the thick of it, it's impossible to see. So how do we wake up? How do we wake up from that? Well, one of the ways that I think is helpful is to be connected to your feelings. I used to be afraid of my feelings. And earlier today, I was talking to a client and saying this, really, that I I used to be afraid of my feelings. I used to not want to have certain feelings at all. I would try to avoid them. I would try to manage them. I would try to therapize them away. I would try to affirm them away, meditate them away, gratitude journal them away. If I keep doing enough gratitudes, eventually I'll stop feeling this way. But now, feelings to me have got so much information in them. They are treasure troves of information. Because when we have a feeling that is being created by our miles away thinking, when that thinking is not true, when it is not reality right now, when it is not the present moment, when it is the contents of somebody else's head, when it is ideas of what should be right and wrong, or what should be even, then that feeling is telling us about that miles away thinking. The feeling is not telling us about those things we're thinking about. It's just telling us that our thinking is unhelpful, that it is miles away thinking. If you are miles away thinking about a lovely holiday you had last year and you're in a lovely feeling, then, you're still caught up in the same experience. You're still creating your feelings in the same way, but we don't need to go poking and prodding that. But if you are caught up and you are feeling anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, knowing that that feeling has such information in it can be so helpful. So there's the feeling, and the feeling is telling us through this amazing system that is working in every single human being, that feeling is telling us. It's saying, hey you, your thinking is dodgy. It is unhelpful. It is angry thinking. It's upset thinking. It's frustrated thinking. It's anxious thinking, stressful thinking, whatever it is. It's like a beautiful tap on the shoulder to say, just watch out. Watch out. This thinking it's miles away thinking in a not very good way. And when we see that there's only that one piece of information in thought, in feeling, that it is thought is the piece of information in a feeling. When we see that in the moment, it's like a reset button gets pressed. It's like it's like you can't unsee it. It's like like that lady, when I said, excuse me, she was back in the present moment. She was back on the path. She was noticing me. She was aware she'd been caught up in her thinking. That she'd been miles away in her head. And I don't know, but I suspect in that moment of being brought back, she probably had a moment of calm. Now, I don't know, she may have gone back into the whirring the minute I walked past. Who knows? But every single time you catch this, every single time there's an observation of that miles away thinking, every time you notice it, something else falls away. Something new can be seen. There's some space for us to consider what next. There's a reconnection to that calm, to that clarity that we all possess all the time. It's all there. It's all there in the moment. And it's so powerful. And it's, we can spend hours meditating and doing things to try and fix our miles away thinking, but just seeing it for what it is the most transformational thing. It is just wonderful. just like a tap on a shoulder, just like an excuse me. It brings you back into the present moment. And that's where we work best, folks. We really do. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.